All right, how's everyone doing? I am Rich CELENZA. Thanks for checking out the Rich CELENZA Show. So, what I'm going to call this podcast is Doctors Don't Make You Healthy, You Do. I don't know where I heard this, but I heard it somewhere, and it kind of nailed it for me. And I first want to say, doctors, I think, are angels. Nurses as well, all people in the medical fields. I don't know them personally, I'm saying, but overall, I just think what they do is incredible. They've done a really incredible job with both of my daughters who've had issues throughout their life, one having a liver transplant, the other one being a type 1 diabetic. And I mean, really, everyone that I've ever ran across. I mean, sometimes it gets, you have certain issues. You may not feel comfortable with doctors, or you may feel better with other ones, and that goes for surgeons or just doctors or whatever. It's amazing what they do, from what the information that they give you, how they surgery, the whole thing, and that's incredible. So I don't want you to think, I'm not saying doctors. I'm not here to dig on doctors at all. But they're just one component a lot of times to getting you healthy. You have to be the one to take the knowledge they give you, or even if they've had surgery, or you've had surgery, or you've gone through certain things, you have to also do your own research, and you have to be the one that takes care of your own body. They can only do so much for you. Same with a hospital, same for a nurse, same for, it could be anything. I always say, it always usually comes down to you. If you want to get healthier too, it comes down to you. And the real reason I kind of brought this up is, and I'll just give a backstory here a little bit. When my daughter we had some ups and downs with her. And she did really well after her liver transplant at 1 year old, but then we had some other issues when she got a little older, and she lost a lot of weight, and she dropped down, I think, 29 pounds when she was like 4 or 5, lost all her hair, and this is what happened. So we started to go to the doctor more. She was doing extremely well, and then all of a sudden something just turned on its head. We have no idea what to this day. We think the medicine and things weren't just, they were just maybe not being regulated correctly, or she was just having a reaction at that point in time to certain things. We really never figured it out. But I realized after a while being in, the hospital, because we've spent so much time in and out of the hospital, me and my daughter, and I started to really study her. And I could tell when certain things were happening, it was really going bad or we were improving. What I realized is usually the quicker I got out of the hospital, the more she improved. That doesn't mean that we weren't in the hospital still going back and forth a lot, because sometimes I'd have to come back every day just to get her out. I know that sounds crazy. But when you have a life-threatening illness, or that's not even an illness, but something like that, they really have to regulate it at different times. And one time she was always a big eater. And one time I could tell she was just getting sicker in the hospital. And she stopped eating. And when she stopped eating, I told the doctor, here's the deal. And I told him right to his face, I have to get her out of here. You're doing everything you can. Now I have to do everything I can. And I'm going to tell you right now, she is falling into a slump, and it's not working. And I could see the more she's here, the worse she's getting. And it's not your fault. I literally said it's not your fault, and I don't think they thought it was their fault. But she was not, her spirits were just being broken. They literally agreed with me. And they said, that's fine, let's start doing this. That was one of the times where I could leave and come back almost daily or every other day, because this is in Chicago. We even ended up moving in the city for this reason. And then another time, too, we were there a couple weeks, and sometimes when we would check in, I'd be like, oh my God, it wasn't a few days, it was weeks at a time. So I'm there for a couple weeks, and again, things were not looking good. And this time was one of the times where me and my ex-wife said, you know what, we have to get out of Chicago. We could tell she just wasn't doing well there. And I mean, we had the best liver transplant doctor in the world, and one of the best surgeons in the world, literally in Chicago at that point in time. And I said, I'll fly back and forth, but she was so miserable because she originally lived in Florida and loved it. And then we went to Chicago at like 1 year old, and I could tell she was not down with it. And then, of course, Chicago just has a weather, and she was scared of all the buildings and hospitals and everybody, just all the doctors and everybody. And then we moved back to Florida a couple years, and then we went back to Chicago because we're like, this is very hard. But when we went back that second time, it was like, instead of her, now we're around all the best doctors again. Instead of her getting healthier, it was going the other way. And finally we said, I have to get her out of Florida because I firmly believe she lives a healthier lifestyle there. Not only did we go to Disney all the time and Wet and Wild and Universal stuff, it was just she was just two different people. So we moved back and never came back. And a lot of people, even the doctor, said that was one of the best moves we've ever made for her. Now, the reason I bring this up, now this doesn't mean that you, no matter where you're at, you got to move out of your state, you got to leave your doctors or anything. I'm not saying that. But taking on something and saying, what's going to make me healthier, especially if you're having health issues. A lot of us depend, I believe, on the doctor to cure us or the medicine to cure us, which of course they're there to help cure us. But I also think we underestimate how we can cure ourselves. I really do. We totally underestimate that. And a lot of times, too, I get, if you have an illness or you've had sickness and stuff, you're like, okay, I'm going to eat better. Wonderful. I'm going to drink more water. I'm going to make sure my medicine or whatever I'm doing, I'm going to regulate that correctly. If I have therapy, I'm going to make sure, you're doing all the right things a lot of times. That's wonderful. But sometimes, too, you got to figure out other things to do besides just what they're telling you, if that kind of makes sense. You have to figure out what's going to keep making you healthier, stronger. And a lot of times they don't have every answer, or they're not going to tell you how to live every aspect of your life. That's not their responsibility. Sure, they can show you all the different things that you need to do, which is fine, but then there's other things you know about yourself that you can be doing to make yourself feel better and get healthier. But you have to figure those things out. You have to take the time out to go do those things. All right? You also may have to back up on certain things as well. It's not just always what you do, right? It's maybe not doing other things that are hurting you. But you may be doing, I don't know what they are. You may not be sleeping enough, and you may even be lying about certain things. And a lot of times you're just lying to yourself. So I just really wanted to do a podcast on this. And you got to understand, I always say this, and I just actually, my guys posted it on, I think, TikTok. But it all falls on you. Every decision you make, especially when it comes to your health, the quicker you start taking care of yourself, the better off you're going to be. That does not mean you have to become extreme. I think that's where people get confused. They think everything that they have to do when it's health related is extreme. Just find a nice little path that you can live a wonderful, nice life. You want to have some drinks, wonderful. That doesn't mean you got to destroy yourself drinking. Same with smoking. You want to have a cigarette or a cigar or a pipe once in a while, have some fun. Go ahead. If you're going to smoke every day or really do things, if it's an excessive thing, and this could go for health too. I think people don't realize, even if you're excessive with fitness and things, a lot of times you take something that's very healthy and before you know it, you're beating the shit out of your body. You may be too extreme regarding anything in life. Moderation is the key to a certain degree. You hear that throughout your life too. But, just really take care of yourself. And nobody can take care of yourself better than you. Now, if you're in a different physical situation where you depend or you're paralyzed or things in that nature, I'm not talking about that. And God bless you. I give you all the credit in the world for anybody who goes through any of those things, and people literally have to take care of you almost hand and foot. That's a different type of thing, and I have all the respect in the world for people that take care of those people as well. I'm kind of just talking about the average Joe out there that may have some complications with their health as they're aging, or they're just, they kind of depend on, like I was saying earlier, doctors or nurses or other things to get them healthier when they're actually not a lot of times putting in the effort to make themselves healthier. It's almost like depending on others. Or again, and I get medicine, like I said earlier, it may help. But also maybe doing other things to make yourself very healthy, or at least try to head that way. All right? I'm going to wrap it up there. If you got any questions or comments, hit me up. I'm at richcelenza.com or masteringselfconfidence.com. All right.